Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us back here at American Airways channel. We're, of course, sitting here once again with Dimitri. And Dimitri, previously, we talked about your past experience and how this story came to you. Today, we want to dive deeper into the company itself. How are you? Are you ready to get into it?
Absolutely. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Perfect. Glad to have you back. So curious. Now, this is not an area where a lot of people are familiar with, right? When it comes to this thing you guys are working with. If I was a brand new person interested in the company, potential investor, how would you pitch the company to me? What would you say? Is it like an elevator pitch?
Well, there are many angles how we can communicate what we do and different ways to explaining it. But in a nutshell, there is a massive problem with accumulative effects of electromagnetic radiation. You see, the problem is that all regulations and all the guidelines were based on a test or a research of a person with one device, say a cell phone, for example, in a controlled environment. So where you, for example, they take a person, they put it in a Faraday cage, and they give that person a cell phone, and they measure the exposures of that device on the human, and they still see some adverse effect, but it's not that bad, to scream and do something about it. But no one ever took into account the accumulative effects of all the devices you are using, because it's not just cell phone by itself, maybe not a big deal, but it's all these other devices that radiate 24/7 without a break. Whether you sleep, whether you work, whether you eat, it's always radiates. So there is a massive problem with the cumulative effects. Now they started to look at these things closely, and especially I say here in North America, and I'm in Canada, but in Canada and US, the regulations are way behind compared to European countries. Like in France, they banned Wi-Fi in schools, in elementary schools and kindergarten. There are actually places that they're not allowed Wi-Fi in California, in New York. These are usually private schools and some organizations. But the thing is that now with the rollout of the 5G, which is fifth generation telecommunication technology, the exposure levels will be increased 1000% again. That's once the 5G network is established. It's not established yet everywhere. It's rolling out, but it's going to be a process till it's all running worldwide. And then the exposure levels will be increased 1000% from what it is today. And that's where the cumulative effect is really gets to, get a concern. So we solve this problem. There are different ways how you can solve this problem. There is the radical way where we can just block the electromagnetic radiation, which is very simple thing to do. But then your device will not work, or its performance will be reduced. But we don't exist for that. We actually exist so you and anyone be able to use that equipment the way they want and get more of it, because personally, I love the technology. I'm surrounded with every technology that is out there, and I will go and buy more as soon as it becomes available. But there are ways to use it without reducing its functionality and still reduce and dramatically reduce the negative effects, the biological negative effects of electromagnetic radiation exposure.
Yeah, so you guys are tackling this problem. And as you said, this is something that's just going to consistently get worse as we roll out 5G, which is not something that's going to stop. And as you said, we don't need to make it stop. You guys now have a solution. So
we don't need to make it stop. We can continue with that. There are ways to reduce the negative. There is ways to reduce exposure, and there are ways to modify the electromagnetic field and, and deal with it while you're using this equipment.
Yes, and while you guys do have some studies and stuff out there, can you just kind of walk us through here today, in summary, what it is your guys' products do?
So we have a silicon-based microchip. It's a passive semiconductor. It's a microchip. We have different variants for different products. And this product specifically was designed to be installed on electronics such as VR headsets, Wi-Fi router, cell phone, a baby monitor, a computer, And by installing this microchip on this device, the microchip is able to basically create a counter field through our patented circular diffraction lattice that is etched on the surface of a silicon wafer. And we are able to basically create a counter field which we are modulate within the chip. And that counter field simply acts like a superposition electromagnetic field that basically stable, and it's in a holographic waveform instead of a digital noise. And that counter field, when you interact with it within the body cell, the chemistry of the body cell, there is no reaction to it because it's stabilized. And therefore, the negative effects of such exposure reduce dramatically. And we have peer-reviewed studies confirming this on EEG brain scan, on heart rate variability, on live blood cells, and many, many other.
Interesting. Is there anybody else aside from you guys doing this that's publicly traded? Anybody else someone could bounce this idea off of?
That's a great question. So as far as I know, and as far as I can check, I don't know of any other company that A, does what we do, and B, publicly traded. I'm not familiar with such company. We look every day, we can't find anyone out there. But what's important to mention that there are many other companies that have a product claiming reduction of negative effects of electromagnetic radiation. What's important to understand here that all, and I really mean all of them, are holistic and homeopathic products. They sell mineral-based elements. They may indeed work. That's not the point. The point is that these are not devices. There is no intellectual property. There are no patents. It's not a device. It could be a Himalayan salt lamp that you put in your bedroom and somehow it influences the electromagnetic field, and maybe it's very effective. That's not the point. The point is that it's holistic. What we do, we're based on fundamental physics. We have a device, and that's the main difference.
Okay, so I guess to kind of to compare them, then you're talking about putting something forward that's scientific and peer reviewed, while they're talking about using, again, a more holistic approach. And these companies are like, all right, so here's a nice magnetic bracelet, so to speak.
Absolutely. And we will be releasing a series of videos. We actually put it in a press release announcing these videos. What we did, we partner up with a professor, and he is a neuroscience, a brain scientist. Mm-hmm. And he also does make equipment for EEG and softwares for EEG. They have many locations in the United States of America, as far as I understand. We partner up with this professor, and we also partner up with our media company called VaynerMedia, who is our main marketing agency. And VaynerMedia was founded by Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, a very known public person in the US. So we did some live demo videos of our technology and interactions of different people using different equipment. Like there was a gaming console with a VR headsets, and while they were playing a game, the professor took a reading on EEG equipment to measure the brain activity, and before and after. So we did this like live video demos that we will be releasing to the public very, 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 very soon. And everyone will be able to see how it works live. And then, of course, they can follow up with reading the actual research papers and the peer-reviewed research papers. But the problem with the peer-reviewed papers, not everyone understands them. So it was very important to actually record the video of the same thing and record it using simple demo. That's what we did.
Interesting. Yeah. I guess we will get those videos over to you guys as soon as they are publicly available. And I guess, Dimitri, turning away from the products and more towards the company as a whole, real quick, talk to me about the paths to revenue here. And obviously, as this starts to become more known, as more people become aware of it, I'm sure it would grow. But where are things currently sitting?
So, of course, we do have an understanding where we're going. We have a plan and we're moving forward and we're executing. What's important to understand that my goal and our company goal is to become a household brand for EMF modulation technology. Now, there are different ways to achieve that. We have our own way that we are focused on. That's number one. Number two, when it comes to revenues and the things that I can speak freely about, is that we haven't really yet focused on selling the product. We didn't market it anywhere in the world. We did some marketing in United States of America. We just scratched the surface and we did revenues over $3 million last year. Oh. So we haven't even scratched the surface in the US. Going into 2022, we are ready and we have opened up fulfillment centers in European Union, in Australia to cover all the Oceania. We have 2 more fulfillment centers in US. We have 1 in Canada. And we are basically now, as we speak, going to expand. And the goal is to expand into European Union, where we have organically massive amount of traffic and sales to Europe without spending a marketing dollar, just organically. I mean, we have orders from Brunei, from Singapore, from Kuala Lumpur, from Riyadh. These orders are coming every day and with no marketing at all. We haven't even considered even looking there, and the orders are coming. So with a little bit of marketing dollars and a cross-border functionality where we're able to fulfill locally, that's the reason why we open up these fulfillment centers, we will be able to quickly scale. So I think I don't know if I wanted to project, the numbers, but on the other hand, then why not? I mean, we believe what we can do, and if things are done the way we're going now with the same pace, and there will be no major surprises of any kind, I think we will be able to finish the year with a rolling average towards, $8 to $10 million in sales, rolling average. So that's going to be a significant increase to what we did last year, which actually, once we achieve, if we achieve these numbers, and when we achieve the numbers, the company at that point is profitable, and even beyond that, below that.
It's interesting that you were able to get so much out there already, as you said, pretty much just on word of mouth. The marketing hasn't started, so you guys seem very well poised right now to take off. And I guess, is there any major catalysts people should be really looking out for throughout the rest of this year from you guys?
There are a couple of things that could happen. Again, this is speculation. We're not doing much to get that done, but there are 2 ways. I look at this as 2 ways of commercialization. I look at direct to consumer worldwide online sales. So imagine there is a product lineup, there are these fulfillment centers in key places on the planet, they're marketing in key places of the planet, and we just sell direct to consumer. That's one way of commercialization. The sky is the limit there, really. Because by 2025, according to the latest reports, there will be 42 billion devices connected to the internet. So this market is absolutely astronomical. We don't go toward the niche thing here. It's absolutely incredible how large the market is for us to sell to. The second way of commercialization, and that could be catalytic any moment or not, but that is totally, it could happen. You see, our product is so easy to integrate within anything. It can be integrated into cell phone case. It can be integrated into your device itself. It could be integrated in one way or another into computers, into many, many, many other current devices, which we call OEM integration. So we didn't want to approach the business and strictly focus on that. We said, look, we're going to focus on consumer adoption. And with enough consumer adoption, we will for sure we'll engage other companies to use our technology within their product. So this thing can happen very fast. Yes. So that's one way. And the second thing that is also doable, such product could go viral if a certain sequence of events happens and we're lucky enough. So these are the things that can really, really extremely fast accelerate everything. But if not for that, we will deliver what I just mentioned before ourselves, just direct to consumer.
Yeah, direct to consumer is a great place to start, as you had said. And again, as those consumers start to demand your guys' products, then the B2B door kind of opens there over time.
Absolutely. That's why I said we are a small company. We don't have all the resources in the world. I don't want it to tear apart the team and start, okay, let's work, let's still focus on grow direct to consumer and then look for partners who will just buy our technology and implement it. It takes away time, focus, and so on. But I know, and everyone in my team knows that once we become a brand, and we are pretty much there, people will approach us, and then it's a lot easier to do deals. We will be able to select the companies we wanted to work with, and we'll be able to just do better to achieve better partnerships.
Agreed. Well, Dmitry, I think you did a great job of walking people through the outline of the business. Now, as this video series goes on, we will dive deeper into things, and we implore you guys to ask questions. If you have questions about any of it, we will knock that out for you guys as well. But for now, we have more videos coming soon, and stay tuned. And Dmitry, thank you for joining me here today.
Thank you very much for having me. Have a great day.